Hi, I'm James from Innovation Enterprise, and here with Brooke Eaton, who's Head of Product Innovation and Engineering at Nokia. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Excellent. Excellent. Are you talking at the Product Innovation Summit in Boston this September?
Yep, looking
Uh,
forward to it.
Excellent. Excellent. So yeah, like, could you tell us a bit about your role at Nokia and sort of how you got started?
Sure. In Nokia right now, in Nokia Technologies, I report directly to the CTO, Guido Dure, and I run effectively a somewhat small incubation team in CTO, but we actually leverage a lot more resources than just what's on our team, and that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about a little bit. Actually, is how we do virtual teams. But as far as me, even as a young kid, I was always the kind of person who liked to figure out how things worked, and I always thought of ways you can make products or services even better. And I obviously like technology, so I thought it'd be pretty cool to have a career helping make great tech products. Did my engineering degree undergrad in computer electrical from Brown, and then got a master's from Stanford. My first job was actually as an engineer here in Silicon Valley. But I actually found that a lot of the engineering jobs, especially at the bigger companies, they're often very targeted at one small element of a product. And I was more interested in the big picture. So I transitioned into product management and got involved in a lot of new product creation efforts. And that's where I've spent the majority of my career.
Okay, cool. And how would you define like a successful product development strategy? And what do you do at Nokia that kind of sets you apart?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question. There's just so many things involved in that. We certainly have a process for how we develop new products, but there's a lot of elements that go into it, from market timing to knowing your minimum viable feature set to understanding all the resources you need to get something done to getting customer feedback via testing concepts and prototypes you do along the way. Another thing we actually like to do is we like to understand the roadmap and vision of where we want to go ultimately, and then differentiate between what we call Horizon 1, 2, and 3. And this is not something we made up. So the three different horizons are talked about in product development. And Horizon 3 is more or less 3+ years out. Um, but really targeting the right product and features for each horizon quickly ends a lot of debates about what should be in the product initially, because you can often put someone's, their pet feature into a particular horizon at some point.
Okay, cool. And I mean, you head up an incubator at Nokia. Like, how would you describe the role of incubators in product development? Do you think they're important? Do you think it's sort of
Yeah, it's hugely important, and I like the way we've carved out things here at Nokia. Obviously with incubators, you're in the earliest stages of product development. In many cases, we're actually generating the product ideas. Um, Maybe not always out of the blue sometimes. But in terms of the role of the incubators, I ask people on my team to look for alternatives or problems with existing products offered by our company or competitors, and also to look at new tangential markets and identify problems or pain points there. I do think it's important not to stray too far away from the company's core markets or where they want to go strategically, because we want to be seen as helping move forward and not coming out of left field. And then as far as the actual work from there, it's the role of the incubation team to obviously flush out ideas for products or services that solve a particular problem, coming up with a business plan to present and get internal buy-off on, test concepts with users so that you can really come back with some really specific product definitions of things that work, so that when you're ready to actually do the final build of a product, that you have a pretty high level of confidence of success at that point in time. Um, and another important thing to know for an incubation team is it's actually okay to come back and say, like, the timing for this concept or this concept in general is not good. And that's actually truly valuable, because if you're a small team doing that, then you haven't spun off a huge business unit that then goes to market and fails then. And so fail fast, fail early.
like what kind of challenges do you face? What like specifically as sort of mobile Nokia?
Well, Nokia's gone through a lot of changes in the past 5 years. We've gotten out of manufacturing mobile phones. We sold that business to Microsoft. Obviously, there's one part of Nokia that's a huge business in networking related technologies. That company also bought Alcatel-Lucent recently. I'm in the division that's focused more on B2C. And so we have done things in digital media and digital health. So in digital media, we recently launched a VR camera called Ozo. So that's one area where my team helps incubate a little bit. We think one of the biggest challenges in that space is really that it's such early days. It's a lot of it is about understanding how various customers, from professionals to general consumers, might even use this technology, and what their needs are, how they would want to use it, even showing them things that they could do with it. And then one of the other markets we're looking at is digital health. You've probably heard the news that we bought Withings earlier this year. And so, I think there's obviously a number of big challenges in digital health. And the role technology is going to play in the future of health is certainly going to impress all of us. It's a huge market. We think there's huge potential upside in the future on that. But there is a general lack of understanding from most consumers, and a wariness, really, of using technology for their health. And even the more tech-savvy consumers we see, like people using various fitness bands and whatnot today, we even with those, we see retention problems and things like fitness bands where people use them for a while and then they stop using them. So I think there's a lot the industry can do to improve the usefulness of these products that will lead to better retention and daily usage, and kind of improving overall kind of health outcomes for people.
Like things like AI. Do you see them having a bigger role in
It,
like healthcare in kind of the next few years?
yeah, I think that's going to be the cornerstone of a lot of future products. I think you can, in a lot of ways, you can take pretty much any product out there on the market that doesn't have AI, and there's probably a way to add AI to that to make it a better product. And I think with health products in general, because there's going to be so much data that's going to be used to kind of generate these health insights, that you're going to have to use AI to find those insights.
I think it was the other week. Obama's perhaps patient care initiative, taking all the data from the genomes and using things like that. Do you see like a kind of problem with people being comfortable with having their data used?
I do. I think that's a big challenge, and I think that there's obviously a segment of the early adopters and the tech savvy folks who are a little more okay with having some data get out there, and but even then we see some a little bit more hesitancy even in those folks if they have a particular disease or issue that they might not want others to see. That is very sensitive. So I think security is going to be huge. I think making sure people understand what it is to have some of their data anonymously used, where we don't know who the person is, but it's kind of getting more general, health data, so that we can then help identify similar problems in other individuals, but on an individual and secure basis. But I mean, yeah, you make a hugely valid point, which is that consumers are going to be wary of the data aspect of this and the privacy aspect of this. Luckily, I think Nokia is in a pretty good position. We have a good history of, honoring people's privacy and security, and that's certainly a tradition we're gonna, keep moving forward.
So, as product, like, when you're innovating with products, is security always kind of, does it have to be at the back of your mind?
Front of the mind, I
Front of the
guess.
mind, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I won't go into all the details of our product development process, but we actually have a privacy and security team, and they're involved in our incubation process and our product development process. And for every milestone we go through, there's an element of reviewing things on that front, and making sure that we're including things that address any kind of privacy and security needs that the market might need.
And yeah, so you use virtual teams within your
Yes.
yeah. Can you tell us a bit about virtual teams and what you?
Yeah, and then this is going to be, another one of the things I'll talk about at the presentation as well. But I think I've been part of incubation teams where we did everything in house, and it was kind of like, let's protect this idea and wait till it's fully birthed, and then hand it off to the company. And um, that can work, but I think there's issues with that. I think it's harder to get buy-in, further down the road from people in other business units or in marketing or sales or business development. So the way we work is that we have a core team of mostly product managers and a few engineers, a different variety of engineers. But then as far as like user research, design, marketing, business development, sales, operation, privacy, security, all those folks, we effectively identify someone in these other kind of groups of the company, and we rope them in to kind of, in a sense, be a sponsor, but also get their input and buy-in and thoughts. And in some cases, we learn things that actually help shape the product from those folks as we go, so that later on down the road, when we're actually trying to get more of a high level business buy-in for something, we have all these champions and fans who are already kind of representing their various divisions across the company. And so I think that really helps. And I can talk more about that as well in the presentation, but it's been pretty good so far.
Excellent. Like, what kind of what advice would you give to other companies, like maybe smaller companies looking to set up an innovation department who haven't got one yet, and companies whose innovation department maybe aren't as successful as they could be?
Yeah, I think that I mean, I think big companies, I think my advice would be to, if your incubations are having trouble getting bought in by other business units, try this concept of the virtual team. I think it's an interesting concept. For smaller companies like startups, I mean, your incubation team is your product development team in a lot of cases. You're the one coming up with the idea that's going to be the thing the company launches and pins its success on. So I hope that, teams in startups are obviously, well adept to testing with consumers, trying lots of things, failing fast, moving fast. So
Well, yeah, thanks very much for talking to us today, Brooke. And
sure,
yeah,
no
look
problem.
forward to seeing you in Boston, September 28th, 29th,
Yeah,
for
looking
the
forward
Product
to
Innovation Summit. Yeah,
it. Okay, great.
thank you. Lovely.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.